Some teachers are raising concerns over the lack of textbooks for teaching and learning. Last year, the Ghana Education Service embarked on a teacher training for the new curriculum, the Common Core program. But after which teachers were expected to effectively take their students through the new program. But the teachers are also calling out their union heads for prioritizing recent admissions involving Rastafari students as against issues on the curriculum and welfare of teachers. We'll be touching base with the Ghana National Association of Teachers. But first, one of the teachers is speaking to us this afternoon anonymously. We're deciding to call him Prince. Good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you very much for your time. Hello? If you can hear me, do summarize for us what really the issue is when it comes to implementation of the curriculum, of the new curriculum. Okay, well, we've lost him there. We will reach him back on Zoom and hear what really the issues are as far as implementation of the new curriculum is concerned. We'll also be touching base with Thomas Musa, who is General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers. But early this month, I had a conversation with Education Minister Dr. Osei Duchum, in which the issue of the new curriculum surfaced. Here is his response. The new teacher curriculum that we started, I think, last year, there were times when some of the teachers had issues about where they were lodging, etc. What is the update on the program itself?
Oh, you mean the new curriculum?
The new curriculum training.
Yeah, for students.
Right.
Yeah, I think
that we knew that the teachers were being trained to be able to implement the curriculum.
Yeah, of course. The pandemic came. You have to press the reset button on a number of things. So we have to then go back and see how you retool and re-engineer the whole thing, because pandemic changes a whole lot of things. But now that we are back in school, GES is now presenting a plan to pick up the pieces from where we left off and see how we move forward.
Okay. Well, that was my conversation with part of my conversation with the Education Minister. Later on, I'll play to you a part of what he said about a new national teacher policy. But let me get back on the line and talk to one of the teachers who is raising the concern about lack of textbooks. He had indicated earlier he'd appreciate anonymity, but it looks like he's happy to go on without that. Hello, sir. Thank you for your time. Good afternoon. Hello, can you hear me? Sincere apologies for that. I'm having issues with hearing him, and it looks like he can't hear me either. But one of the issues being raised in this conversation is teacher welfare and personal development. That's something which featured in President Akufo-Addo's last State of the Nation address, saying that the sector minister would elaborate. So when I had the chance to speak to Dr. Osei Duchum, I asked him to elaborate on what this new national teacher policy looks like.
National policy on teaching, or national teacher policy, spells out what you do in the teaching space, from training to where you have to recruit, to induction of teachers, equipping them, professional development, issues about their welfare. Everything is part of the national teacher policy. And this was championed by the NTC, National Teaching Council. So what we have to now do, and they engage the unions, engage various stakeholders, but we now have to begin to look at the action plan. We're talking about professional learning communities in the various schools where teachers come together and they are able to learn together. But you cannot do professional learning communities if you don't set aside days for professional development. You see, in other jurisdictions, you have 10 days during that calendar, the school calendar or the academic year, where teachers meet. Students don't come to school on those days.
Okay.
If you don't create that opportunity for teachers, you cannot create a professional learning community. Our teachers in this country have had invariably to pay for their own professional development. You know, they have a training during the vacation, they go and they pay for themselves. Now we are saying that that is not how you develop the teaching workforce of the 21st century. You need to give them time. Give them the professional that will go to their various schools and do training with them. And Ghana Education Center have started with the primary schools. Last year, they set aside 4 days in the whole year. I don't think that is enough.
4 days for the teachers alone?
Teachers alone.
So
it's called, another jurisdiction called People Free Days.
I see.
People Free Days are the days that students don't come to school.
So these are supposed to be school days?
School days. So what you do is that you look at the number of school days, you may add a few days to it, or sometimes in the interest of equipping teachers, what you do is that you deduct some days, you may add a few days at the end, or you do what is called minimum days.
Why not holidays or weekends?
No, you don't want to put pressure on. Teachers struggle to accommodate our children. Teaching is the only job that you sometimes even dream about the work you need to do the next day. So, you see, if you do it during the holidays, the downside to it is that they are not immediately taken into the classroom. So, for example, if there was a People Free Day on Wednesday, teachers they look at the data on student performance. They look at sample student work and compare notes among themselves. The next day, they are implementing the best practices in their classroom. So People Free Days are always done in such a way that it gives the teachers instant feedback on their work and how you can take it to the classroom. So it's not done when teachers are on vacation.
That sounds like special holidays for the student, is it? Is that something, is that what we're doing?
The focus is on the teacher.
But it means that if I have my children in school, that there will be days within the week where they don't go to school.
There will be days within the month.
Within the month,
yeah, so
yes.
One day
in the
within
month.
the month when teachers have to meet and sharpen their skills so that they can better serve your child. So it's something that we need to do.
When are we starting this?
They've already started. GS have started. That's why I said they started 4 days in a year. And then the high schools will have to do something similar. The teachers have to be equipped. And if we can't ask them to do something that we don't provide them time to do. So that is something that needs to be done. That is how education is done around the world.
Okay.
Where in systems where education have really been promoted and they are on top of the world, professional development days has to be given to the teacher to sharpen their skills.
I see. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. Apart from this, Doc, as we wrap up on the action plan for the national teacher policy, can you highlight for us the key new things that we are introducing into our education system as far as that is captured in the national teacher policy? Just the highlights.
I'll talk about the recruitment of
yeah.
teachers, for example.
Okay.
We talk about professional development, which is key. Issues about promotion, it's all well spelled out in there. And then in terms of teachers, some of them opting to become administrators, and others opting to be in the classroom. The general perception is that every teacher wants to be a headmaster. There are some teachers who want to be master teachers in their classrooms and do well. So they have to be given that opportunity to, after teaching for some certain number of years, to say, I want to be an administrator. And then if you want to be an administrator, then there should be training made available to you so that you can be an administrator in 21st century. If you want to be a master teacher, training opportunities should also be given to you so that when the new ones come on board, you'll be able to support them. You'll be able to mentor and guide them. So part of the comprehensive teacher policy is also looking at that space to really bring us in conformity with our 21st century education, especially when you look at the fact that in other jurisdictions, you don't have to be a teacher for 20 years before you become a headmaster. We lose talent that way. The best leaders who come into teaching invariably leave after 3-4 years because they can't wait for 20 years. So these are areas that we want to look at and say that if we want to develop the next generation of school leaders, they shouldn't wait till 5 years to retirement, 2 years to retirement. Typically 5 years to retirement, then they get the opportunity to become a headmaster. At that point, what do they have to prove? Young and dynamic teachers with leadership potentials after teaching for 3-4 years should be given the opportunity to prepare to lead our schools. Okay. And they have everything to prove because they know that if they mess up, they've messed up their career. So they go in there, they want their schools to be in the best in the world. So these are part of the new set of ideas that we are going to work on, and the comprehensive, the teacher policy, stakeholders and people who champion that look at all these issues.
The Dr. Osei Educhum, the Minister for Education, speaking to me some 2 weeks ago about the general welfare of teachers and the plan that government has for us. And now we're playing that on the back of some concerns coming through from some teachers who say that they haven't had textbooks when it comes to the previous curriculum. And even with the new curriculum, they have not had the training. You heard Dr. Educhum say that the training was put on hold for some time last year because of COVID-19, but that it will be reintroduced this year by the Ghana Education Service. We have yet to have any update on that. We wanted to hear the perspective of the teachers who are raising these concerns, and also the Ghana National Association of Teachers. So, I mean, the leadership, which has been called out by the members, saying that they are not prioritizing the issues of teacher welfare. We're trying to read the Ghana National Association of Teachers. We'll take a very quick break here. When we return, we'll continue with that conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Many thanks for staying with us. This is The Pulse. Now we're talking about teacher welfare. And I indicated earlier that some teachers are raising concern over the unavailability of textbooks and training for the new curriculum. I'm joined now by editor of the College of Education Weekly Journal, Larry Agbado, so we can understand what the situation is from their perspective, or from perspective of teachers. Mr. Agbado, thank you very much and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Gifton, and good afternoon to your cherished viewers.
Right. So explain to us what the concern is in detail. What is the issue, really?
All right. So the issue actually is that teachers are not against the implementation of the new curriculum that has been done by GES and NACA for the past year to two. Our concern as things stand now is about our teacher unions. We wish to call on them. Look, there are so many concerns around this curriculum. Teachers cannot stand up from the various schools they are to go and sit with the stakeholders, be it GES or NACA, to talk about the challenges they are going through with them. We have leaders at the teacher unions, at the front of the teacher unions, who we expect to champion these concerns for us.
Okay, so
for the past 2 weeks.
Right, Mr. Agbado, I just want us to deal with the problem, and then, you know, the fundamental problem. Then we can talk about the solution and the fact that you have not had enough response, if you like, from your unions. So tell us about the situation. So it is the issue about lack of textbooks, as well as the training you need to be able to implement the new curriculum, right? Elaborate.
So the first one you mentioned rightly is the lack of textbooks. We have curriculum for the primary schools for the past, I think, a year and a half to two now, where we don't have textbooks accompanying the introduction of the new curriculum for that level. Aside that, also, the junior high schools were also supposed to undergo training for DS. That was in January. But that was kept on hold. Just as you played the minister's interaction, you heard what he said, that due to COVID, that couldn't take place. They had scheduled that for January. However, at the last minute, when we were just preparing to go in for the training, they brought in a concern that, look, we need to spend the 8 weeks ahead to do recovery learning. The 8 weeks is over. We ended that recovery learning about 2 weeks or so. But there's no clear directive on the way forward. So as we speak right now, you go to most schools, and there's no clear directive from the top as to the way forward on what we are going to do after the recovery learning. And these are the concerns we expect our teacher unions to be championing. and not on issues of hair of students.
So it's been, what you said, 2 weeks since the 8-week allocated for recovery learning ended.
The recovery learning. Yes, please.
So what is happening right now when you go to school? What do you do?
I can't best tell what is going on right now, because as a teacher, you're supposed to prepare your lesson notes. You're supposed to prepare for your lessons before you go to class. But as we stand right now, the time allocated for the recovery learning, which was 8 weeks, ended about 2 weeks ago. It is just appropriate that GES comes out with a way forward. Okay, we are not going to roll out a new curriculum for the junior high schools for now. So go back to the old one you're using. I'm not sure there's anything so much wrong with the old curriculum. We are not having any problem with the introduction of the new curriculum. It's a perfect thing. I spoke to the 2018 National Best Teacher in Nigeria a few months ago, and he said, look, Ghana is doing very well with the introduction of the new curriculum. They even wish they had same. But when you're introducing a curriculum, at least you should add whatever that it comes with. The textbooks. You see, because there are no textbooks accompanying this new curriculum, that is the reason why we have those bad books on the market, which are describing works as a certain category of people. So we expect our teacher unions. My concern is not on GES or NACA. My problem here is on teacher unions, because teachers cannot write and go to GES and ask them to do what they are expected to do. Our concern is on the teacher unions. We expect them to lead this fight for us.
When was the last time you had an interaction with your representatives within the teacher unions?
So as a teacher, you raise your concerns from the school level to the district level to the regional and then to the national. We've been doing all that. It's not as if our leaders are not aware of these concerns. Most of them are also in the classrooms, so they are much aware of the concerns that their members are going through. So it's not as if they are not aware.
You're saying that you can't make the inquiries by yourself. You speak through your leaders. That's why I'm asking whether or not you've had this interaction with them, even personally, and to find out what they're doing about it.
So let me set a clear example to you.
Help me.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, in the month of, I think from February to March, had their local conferences nationwide, where teachers from various schools gathered to tell leaders the problems they are facing at the local level. Way back in February, that was about a month ago, till now. Are you telling me those concerns have not reached the national level? They are hearing these concerns. Even just last week, one of your members at JoyNews there, Justice Bedu, he raised this concern on his social media page. And you could read a lot of concerns that teachers had with this.
The Ghana National Association of Teachers, to get their thoughts on this. Maybe they've had some interaction with the Ghana Education Service and has had some sort of response. But for those of you who are just joining in, as I said earlier, 2 weeks ago, I spoke with the Education Minister. He indicated in that rather long part of the conversation a plan, you know, that they're calling the National Teacher Policy. But there was a tiny bit of that conversation in which he addressed the issue of the new curriculum. I'd like for you to listen again as I wrap up my conversation with Mr. Agbado. Take a listen to the Minister. The new teacher curriculum that we started, I think, last year, there were times when some of the teachers had issues about where they were lodging, etc. What is the update on the program itself?
Oh, you mean the new curriculum?
The new curriculum training.
Yeah, for students.
Right.
Yeah, I think
that we knew that the teachers were being trained to be able to implement the curriculum.
Yeah, of course. The pandemic came. You have to press the reset button on a number of things. So we have to then go back and see how you retool and re-engineer the whole thing, because pandemic changes a whole lot of things. But now that we are back in school, GES is now presenting a plan to pick up the pieces from where we left off and see how we move forward.
Okay. Mr. Agbado, mind you, we're still in the pandemic, by the way, although we're going back to school. So if the pandemic is a reason why we have to put a bit of a hold on this, we're still in the pandemic anyway.
So we are not against that. We are still in the pandemic and things need to be rushed. That's not what we are saying. Our concern is you gave us 8 weeks for recovery learning. We've exhausted that. Now, what is the way forward? Are you getting me? Now, what is the way forward? So we are not saying that we are in a pandemic, so things should be rushed. If you ask us to go back to the old system, where we use the old syllabus we're using to teach, we have no concern with that.
But that has not been told. And you don't have the curriculum, you don't have the program for the new one.
We don't have the program. We have not undergone the training yet
for the new one. I remember last year that the training started, some sort of training started, but then some of you the teachers, were protesting.
No, I think that was with the primary schools, not with the junior high schools. So
that's different from this one.
Yes, that's far different from this.
I've tried to get the Ghana National Association of Teachers so we can get their thoughts on it, whether or not they've engaged. But we've made that attempt and we haven't been successful. I take a very final words. I'm sure that we'll raise this conversation again.
All right. So as I stated earlier, our key concern is, look, we are concerned about our work at the very local level here in the classrooms. And we as teachers at the local level cannot stand up and question our authorities on the way forward. So we are expecting our teacher unions, just as for the past 2 weeks, they have been very, very active on speaking on issues of roster of students and the rest. They should use that same energy to address the challenges we are facing in the classroom. The issues of textbook, the issues of the new curriculum, the issues of the recovery learning that has ended. We have a lot of issues in the classrooms that we think our teacher unions should equally address their concerns to, and not just the roster of students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agbado. Larry Agbado is editor of the College of Education Weekly Journal there, speaking to us. Apparently, the 8 weeks allocated for recovery learning has ended about 2 weeks ago, and teachers, as he says, do not have a clear idea of what to do. They're talking about lack of textbooks, especially for the primary schools, and also the lack of training for implementation of the Common Core Curriculum Program for the JHS. Our attempts to reach the Ghana National Association of Teachers has not really been successful at this point.